Hi makers, I'm going to show you how to add a digital product to your store. You might be selling a pattern of some kind, whether it's sewing or crochet. So I'm going to show you how to add one of those to your product listings. So on your products page, so when you scroll across the top, you've got products and then my products, and you'll come to your product listing screen. In the top right, you've got the add product, so select that. Now, the very first thing, it's going to default to a normal product. So this is the very first section that you do need to select a digital product. So from that drop down, you can see there's a digital product. So click on that one. Now you're going to have your product name. So it needs to be super clear that this is a pattern, a download. And again, with your product names, like be sure not to include too much information. It needs to be enough, but not too much. So let's call this one sewing pattern, pretty little dress. We're going to do a sewing pattern. Now, your main product category, if you know where you are, a really simple one, we could type PDF and that's going to come up with PDF patterns, and the one we want to choose is a sewing fabric pattern. You can pop your description in here. What we would really suggest in here is likely in capitals be putting digital download, so it is super clear to the buyer when they open this that it is a digital download. Then you can go on to explain about the pattern, what it is, what type of, is it beginner friendly? Is it maybe an intermediate pattern? All of those kind of things. It's how long the download's available for them to download it. Do you offer refunds? That kind of information is what the buyer needs to know about in the digital download description. So explain all of that here. We're going to just go past that. Of course, you've got your tags. See, this is where you can add tags such as sewing. You could have pattern. You could have DIY, girls dress, dress, those kinds of things, so that it kind of elaborates a little bit more on your product name and also the description. Delivery details, you don't need to worry about that because this is a digital download, okay? Your price, so however much your pattern is to purchase per download. So it's $5. You can add your SKU here. So if you could have dress pattern. Now, tracking inventory and don't track inventory, that's completely up to you when it comes to the download, because yeah, obviously this is something that you don't need to actually physically keep making them. You've got it as a downloadable. So some makers would choose not to track inventory, and it would just be as the purchaser, just the buyers just keep purchasing that pattern. Or others prefer to potentially have 50 or 100 in the quantity, and then that allows them to kind of, I guess, track the sales on that one as well. Um, Now we can have obviously add digital product. So we're going to have a digital product as a file. Now what we're going to do here is upload a file. Before I go too much further though, what I am going to do is select save if it will let me, but it may say product image is mandatory, and there's also a couple of options here as well that have got the red asterisk. Here we are, the number of accessible days. So first, let's add an image. Upload image. So this is the image where we want to add, which has got a picture of the pattern as it's finished, and that's got digital download written across it, just so again it's super clear to the purchaser that this is a digital download. Now we want to go back down here to the number of accessible days. So this is how many days do you want the buyer to be able to have access to download the pattern? So to download the file. So it could be 7 days, could be 14 days, could be 28 days. If you leave this at 0, it's unlimited. And you probably don't want to do that. That's probably not the best practice. So for this example, we're going to go with 14 days that the purchaser has to be able to get in and download it. Generally, when they're purchasing a pattern, they're going to jump in and download it straight away. Now, the number of downloads, again, 0. It says by default the number of downloads is 0, which means it's unlimited downloading of file for customer. So this is something, it's completely up to you how you want to structure this for yourself. Obviously, I wouldn't probably recommend having 0 and having it unlimited downloads. 1 is enough generally because they will download it and then they'll save it externally themselves or print it. So, and I guess if there's ever any issues in the future, they can always come back to you personally. So, up to you, but we'll just for this example have 14 days of access and then there's 1 download available. All right, now one thing we haven't done yet is upload the file. I'm just going to double check. Yep. So now let's upload the file. So this is the file of the pattern. So obviously they're not going to see this until they've actually purchased the pattern. So it's not like, don't add it into your photos, like into your images. This is attached as a file. So you've got your PDF pattern. Hit open. Now you'll see here it's written Pretty Little Dress PDF. So you've got it attached. You need to save. So let's hit save. Okay. It's just having a little think. Excellent. So the product has been created successfully. There's just one more thing you need to do. So let's scroll back down here because as you can see, once you've created it, it's created this variant. So you just need to give it a little bit more information. So hit your 3 dots. Oh, and you can see here the type. It's got digital product as file. Okay, so the system knows that this is a digital product that is downloadable for the purchaser. Hit the 3 dots and we want to edit. Okay, so we're now in that um, the options for this variation. Now, what we want to do is add the title. So this title is going to be Sewing Pattern Pretty Little Dress. It's $5. Um, Charge taxes on this product. That's only if you're registered for GST. Your SKU, you can have that for your own inventory tracking as well. So with patterns or digital downloads, it's completely up to you if you want to track the product's inventory or not. Some makers like to have a quantity in there and they just kind of obviously work their way down. They know how many they started with, so it enables them to kind of keep an eye on the selling of that particular pattern. You can also don't track inventory, which means it's just going to keep selling no matter what. There's no kind of, I guess, limit on how many. It's kind of a completely up to you how you want to work that one. Obviously, country of origin is Australia, and you want to save the changes. Now, you do need to obviously add the image. So add your image. Okay, and then we'll go back to our product listing. So now we've got at least one image. We would obviously recommend further images, and you can add a little bit more detail with some of the images with what the buyer might expect with patterns, but obviously without giving the pattern detail away. Um, Now, this is where you've obviously got your information. So you've got the image, you've got the title, how much, how many quantity you've got showing. If you do, it clearly shows it's a digital product as a file. Now you can add colors if that's obviously something that's relevant to this particular one. In this one, not so much. So let's hit Save Changes. we'll have a quick look in the store. It's always a good thing because I guess what you do want to do is make it super clear to the purchaser that this is a pattern. They're not buying this dress, they're buying the pattern for this dress. So whether you have something like this across the main image, so still shows the beautiful product that they can make, but it does show that it's a digital download. You can clearly state it here that the description is a sewing pattern for the pretty little dress. The description here, again, you can really easily state that it's a digital download with all of the information that you want to explain in there. So about refunds, how to download, etc., etc. So yeah, it's pretty easy. So hopefully that helps. Happy listing.